Hi, everyone. This is Shelly Dressel, and I'm bringing to you a ULB mini. It's funny because today is October 25th, and I have a full channel this evening, but I was going to do this yesterday, and then I was going to do it this morning, and anyway, this mini just needs to happen. So I'm going to be channeling Albayon, and I've been asking him about sometimes when we've talked about some of these motherships, I've called it New Bethlehem versus New Jerusalem. And I think New Jerusalem is probably the correct name. And sometimes I just get the names wrong. And I know the energy of what I'm connecting to. So it doesn't really bother me. But today it's been going around in my mind that with everything that's going on with Israel and Palestine, and Jerusalem and Bethlehem, they're all kind of in that same area. And why would they have a whole mothership called New Jerusalem? And yet here we have it on the earth plane. So there's got to be a connection with that. Perhaps this is something that he's going to go into greater detail tonight, but I just wanted to know now and in this mini, because this way it'll also be out separate. So let's see what Albayon has to say about this topic. Greetings. It is I, Albayon. As I speak about this topic, there are multiple levels in which it will have an impact upon not only the earth plane, but those that are out within the universe. That's probably not the best way to say that. It's not that we will have an impact, but that it's pulled from many different things that are happening on the earth plane and out in the universe. So let me speak for a moment about the motherships. They come from another part of the universe. They are associated with sometimes other existences that have been located upon the earth, i.e. Lemuria, other realities, other dimensions. And sometimes they come from another part of the universe because it's bringing with it the energies of that. New Jerusalem, which is the correct name for it, is from the part of the universe which is similar to where Arcturus is. So this is one of the reasons why I have worked with it very closely. It is not associated only with that part of the universe, because this is what we call a massive, massive mothership. It would be the equivalent of a continent on the earth. It has multiple different layers to it. It looks like Earth in certain places. There are places where food is created. There are places where people congregate. There are multiple different cultures that live and work on this mothership. Sometimes when people think of motherships, they kind of think about Star Trek and some of those science fiction movies and about the bigger ships that have other ships that come in and out of it, and think that that is what a mothership is. There are ships that indeed do look like that, but this one is different. The other thing that is important about this mothership is the fact that it brings with it consciousness. There are groups of people that are living and working on this ship in different places that their sole focus is to alleviate lower consciousness, to transition into higher consciousness and frequency. And in order for people to be able to do this, they've got to have something to move into. If I were to say to you, just, hey, jump into the seventh dimension, you may go inside your consciousness and say, okay, put me in the seventh dimension. But because we're also working with your ego, we're working with your human consciousness, it has no concept for what that is. So there are groups of people that are on this ship that is what they do. They bring higher vibrational frequencies into a concept that can be understood by humanity, and then that gets sent into the earth plane. You do recall the many different times we've talked about impulses of light and energy that go into the earth. This is one of the reasons for that. This is one of the things that comes in. They work with the moon, they work with the sun, they work with other ships, they work with your satellites, they work with the planet itself, with Earth itself. So it's not as if it's just one tiny piece of a puzzle that is not related in any way, shape, or form to another. Everything is interrelated. And this is one of the importances about this type of consciousness. So that is New Jerusalem. Shelly started to say Bethlehem again. So think for a moment about the various parts of your world and the names of the cities and the countries. Some of these you think they're just created randomly, there's no connection. The majority of these places are connected to either cultures that lived there before or places that were out in the universe that still had an influence on it. So Israel, Palestine, Jerusalem, Bethlehem, all of these places in this one tiny part of your world, which is where everything is kind of exploding right now, that goes back to a very, very old lineage, you could say, that came not only from out in the universe, but also came onto the earth plane. Now, one of the questions that had come to me from somebody is this area directly linked into Lemuria? It is not. Lemuria has had an impact upon it at different times in the past, but not what's going on right now, not the naming of it, not anything else. This comes from a part of your solar system that is the other end of the universe. And, I couldn't say it's related to this planet or that planet that's right here because it's not anything that you would know or recognize. So this is why it's important to just simply understand that it's not something simple or contained only within your planet. Now then, there is another ship called New Bethlehem, and it is somewhat associated with New Jerusalem, but it is not, it's a fraction of the size of that. This New Bethlehem is something that was made to be a transition when they're going to transport people and items and different things from New Jerusalem onto the earth plane. They may go through this other ship known as New Bethlehem. So in the past, if you go back and you listen and you consider, okay, here she said Bethlehem, here, perhaps we were connecting actually with Bethlehem because that was in the process of transporting energy or transporting things onto the earth plane. So it's important to know that it's never really the name, because I can channel with one individual here and another over here and another over here talking about the same thing, and each of the humans may have a different name for what that represents. This is all about connecting and communicating with the energy or the essence. So, and as more and more, this is not something this year or next year or even in the next few years, but as it becomes very consistent that people from other species are going to be coming into the earth plane, there has to be more information that you receive, and it's going to bypass the ego, and it's going to bypass your consciousness and instead go into your unconsciousness, and you will receive an intuitive response to that. This may be telepathy. This may be you reading the energies of the individual. It can be a number of different things. Okay, so then another thing that came up as we were talking about this is that this time and what is going on here on your planet is the end. It is the end of the conflict that you've had. We've spoken in the big channels about how with the equinox that just took place in September, the collapse of the third dimension, and then now with the what do you call it? The eclipse that took place, what is it, on the 14th, and then again this weekend. This week, this 2-week span of time was really intensifying the energies about release and clearing and letting things go. So when you're in this moment, everything that's coming up, everything that this is bringing up, you will notice that there are people that are getting caught up in the trauma and drama, and there are things that are going on there that are harmful and that are hurting people, and there are casualties. So in no way am I saying that there is not. However, what is being shown to the majority of people is not the reality of what is going on there. And that's what many people are coming to realize. So this is taking out not only what was built underneath these two, where these two countries were located. It was a very, very, very sacred space for many thousands of years. And that was taken over, and through the control and the manipulation of the nefarious ones that are, have mostly been removed, and the last bit are being removed. So that is why they chose that part of the world, and they call it the chosen ones, and they call it the chosen place, and they say as if everything was ordained that it be there, because it was. Now, the question always arises is, well, it was chosen for you, but what about you? You know, and so this is where what one of the lessons that is coming up from all of this is that people need to begin to look at each other, each culture, each race. You need to look at each other as humanity, as we live on earth, as we are seeking community of earth. We are seeking the companionship, the way of being present with one another and working with one another, and not about what divides you, but about what brings you together. So this conflict that is going on right now, my sense is it's not going to go on very long. It is also showing people the directed energy weapons. It's showing people the many different ways in which there are drones and different things. They look like drones, but they're actually orbs that are coming from us that are working with it. And so there's much more going on than what meets the eyes. But all of this is being done to bring this to very short conclusion. This conflict has been going on for probably as long as these two countries have been there. And it's escalated and de-escalated on both sides, as the old energy was always triggered to come up of competition, of fighting, of ownership, of the just not getting along with one another. So what is happening, and you've already seen it in many different places, is those that are bypassing it, those that are showing, hey, we are friends, we are getting along, is what is going to replace what is going on right now. It is not about Palestine and Israel. It is about taking out the dumbs, and it's about taking out one of the main places that the Khazarian mafia was located. And in doing so, it is going to take out one of the biggest hubs, one of the last hubs, so that everything else can then come to light and everything else can begin. So my sense is that it is in the end phases right now, as that it's in many ways as it's already over, but there's still cleanup to do, so to speak. So keep the faith, understand that not anything is exactly what it looks like. Remember to just trust in your intuition. And when you read something or watch something, does it resonate with you or does it not? And if it does not, then just say, okay, I'm going to let this go. Or say, okay, let me look and see if I can find out more information, and then I'll make another decision. But at the end of the day, it is essential for you to listen to your intuition that is coming into the earth plane more and more and more, and understand how this is not about humanity. This is about a much bigger scheme of things, and it is again at the end. Thank you for listening to me, Aunt Saluia.